it is not a priority for the administration to accept the UK deal, then they are obliged to tell us how they're going to finance a new prison otherwise. Politicians are often criticized for taking decisions for political reasons rather than in the national interest. We have the example of the UK prison deal, which in many ways epitomizes this decision-making process, or this dysfunctional decision-making process. What is the deal? In 2015, the administration of the day had reached a stage in negotiations where the UK government had put £25 million on the table as a grant, and a further £5.5 million also as a grant, the first towards building a new maximum security prison, and the second £5.5 million was towards reintegration of deported Jamaicans back into Jamaican society. Last week in the Senate, the Minister of Foreign Affairs confirmed that this JLP administration has rejected that out of hand. We need to recall that the issue of a new modern prison is first and foremost a human rights issue for the inmates, and secondly, a workers' rights issue for the employees of the correctional services who are also exposed to conditions working in two facilities built in the 17th and the 19th century respectively. Facilities that are literally falling apart. Facilities that were not designed with rehabilitation in mind. What we have today is a situation where we are highly susceptible to any natural disaster. Even a medium intensity earthquake could cause a catastrophic loss of life and also injury. Are we prepared for partisan political reasons to continue to keep our own Jamaicans in subhuman conditions, contrary to various human rights treaties? This issue became a political hot potato because it was disclosed by the office of British Prime Minister David Cameron when he visited Jamaica in 2015. And unfortunately, it got conflated with what some would say was an insensitive handling by Prime Minister Cameron of the reparations issue. David Cameron is gone. He has left the political scene. We still have the issue of the human rights of our inmates, our Jamaicans, our fellow Jamaicans, 70% of whom will be back in society within 2 to 3 years. What do we profit from dehumanizing them, brutalizing them, some would say, for 2 or 3 years, and then releasing them back into the communities to be now not the housebreaker or larcenist they were when they went in, but hardened criminals from these tertiary institutions of criminality? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And this administration says that the UK deal may not be a priority for it. But new prisons, modern prisons that will re-socialize and reskill the inmates is critical if we are to really deal in a sustainable way with our crime problem. If we're really serious about this 5% growth in 4 years, we cannot ignore this blot on our human rights record, and from an enlightened self-interest point of view, we cannot ignore the opportunity to take this captive audience and prepare them for re-entry into society as productive citizens. If it is not a priority for the administration to accept the UK deal, then they are obliged to tell us how they're going to finance a new prison otherwise. It was not a matter of schools versus prisons. Every modern society has both. But the truth of the matter is, if we forego what was a 5.5 billion grant and we still have the need, then we will be the ones who will have to divert resources from schools, from healthcare, from other infrastructure work towards the prison, when we could have accepted a substantial grant in that regard. I believe this issue deserves further probing and further discussion in the society.